Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted me to introduce you. I just have one student so far, but I'm hoping that I'll have a handful more soon. I have three different classes I announced it to. Well, my name's Beth, by the way.
Nice to meet you, Beth.
And then we also advertised out to the environmental studies program. But I've not hosted a meeting other than classes. I don't know if students are completely zoomed out.
Yeah, I mean, if they're like you and I, they're probably.
How many classes are you teaching?
I teach, oh, this is going to be embarrassing. I teach one.
Well, it's not embarrassing.
But I'm the chair, so I have.
Oh, Jesus.
That
Say no more.
So I have a little bit of a reduced load because of that.
Yeah, I was chair the year before the pandemic hit. And then I passed the baton to one of my colleagues, and I just can't imagine. I mean, it's already a nightmare of a job anyhow, but to have that thrown in.
Yeah, it's been, I feel like it was a little bit easier to plan last year when we knew okay, in the fall, we're just going all virtual. I mean, people had to figure out how you're going to teach that way.
Right.
But this spring has been a little bit more of a disaster zone in my book because we sort of, start planning in February, maybe even a little bit in January. And at that time we were like, oh, we're doing mostly virtual. And then, it sort of gradually transformed, to the point, people didn't know if they're going to get a vaccine, but then in March and early April, people were getting vaccines. And that's when the schedule was coming out and people were like, oh, things look like they're opening up. Maybe we should do more face-to-face, because we do a lot of labs, like field trips out in the field and stuff. And
yeah,
it really wasn't serving our students to have so much virtual instruction, and the professors don't want to teach that way.
Right.
So it was just a couple days before schedules go live, well, we decided to put all of our classes face to face.
Oh, you did lectures also?
Yeah.
Wow, that's lucky.
Yeah, it is lucky. Part of that's accommodated because other programs didn't, and so that opens up space. Like a lot of our labs, we booked two rooms for them so that we could keep people.
We kind of did something like that too.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Trevor in, just so he was actually here in the waiting room 5 minutes before 3. So I don't want to keep him too much longer, but I have been doing everything online. I'm a field person. I teach a botany class. I teach a marine biology class. I do 5 or 6 field trips usually a semester. And so all of that, to try to convert it to something meaningful for these students, and trying to come up with that from scratch, having never taken a class online, having no idea what that should look like. And then insult to injury, they asked us for a PD, our PD for the year. I'm like, you think maybe you could give us a pass on PD this year?
Right.
Everybody has gone way above and beyond to do this. So, hey, Trevor, sorry to keep you waiting in that waiting room. I saw you in there a little early, but wait, can you hear me, Trevor? See this, the black screen. Thanks. And this is why I don't do synchronous lectures, because the blank screens. No offense, Trevor. I just emotionally I can't take it.
Yeah, it's hard to give an impassioned lecture and sitting in a room by yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
As it is, I did all these pre-recorded, but I just laughed at myself. But at least I wasn't expecting anybody to reply.
Right.
I think it would kill me so I did all pre-recorded lectures. Pretty much my classes are asynchronous.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, it's not, I tell my friends, it's not what I'm good at. I'm not doing the thing I'm good at. And that's what kills me. So Trevor, you
Yeah.
might be our only person. I'm a little bit surprised actually, but it means that you get Andrew all to yourself. Is it Dr. Kinziger? Is that
Either way is fine.
and what is your specialty?
Well, fish, of course, are my specialty, but genetics is my
Okay.
area of specialty. So fish genetics.
And where did you go to school?
So I'm from, what people in California say back east.
It's just anything from Arizona on out.
Yeah, right. Are you from back east too?
Well, I was an Air Force brat, so I'm kind of from everywhere. But my mom was from Green Bay, which they call the Midwest, which I think is really funny because it really should just be the cold North. But
Oh, how cool! I grew up not far from Green Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She was from. I think she was born in Iron Mountain.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And then
that's where my parents have a cabin near Iron Mountain. That was our summer. That's a pretty common thing in Wisconsin to have your cabin up north.
Right.
Yes.
They had a cottage on the
lake.
Yeah,
the cottage. Yes.
And then my grandfather, get ready for it, played for the first Green Bay Packers team ever.
So how cool.
Yeah, so we still have family out there in Sheboygan and Green Bay, and one cousin is actually up north now. I forget the name of his town. I haven't been there. I've only visited them in Sheboygan. So Trevor, I want to, maybe you could tell us a little more about, you went to school where?
Oh, right. So, my path in terms of fisheries is that I just always, love fish. And so just found a way to translate that interest in fish into a career, whether it was like when I was really young in Wisconsin fishing with my dad for, sunfish or whatever. But I went to a small school outside of Green Bay called St. Norbert College.
Okay.
A little liberal arts school there. And then I got my master's in Maryland and then my PhD at St. Louis University. And then I landed at Humboldt State here in Northern California in 2003. And that's where I've been since. Yeah. And then
did you ever imagine you'd end up there?
No, I don't know. Who knows? I didn't have a vision. But then a student of yours, Chad Martell.
Yes, I remember him well.
He was one of my master's students. He finished a year or two ago. And he always just said what a great experience he had at Palomar. And I said, I was talking to him this spring about doing some outreach to do some recruiting of students from different junior colleges, because a lot of students don't know they can major in fisheries like straight out of high school. So a lot of our students are JC transfers. And he's like, oh, you should talk to Beth and your counterpart down there,
Jim Gilardi.
Yeah. He said they're great, and they're really impassioned about connecting students to programs that fit them and stuff. And so so I sent you the message, and here we are. So that's really cool. Chad is amazing student.
Yes, very very good student. Really fun to have him. One of the huge benefits of both, and I say this for your benefit, Trevor, of going to a community college is sort of that you're in a smaller class size and you get to know your instructors. But I say the same thing about a Cal State. I went to Cal State Fullerton, and I had an amazing experience. I had tons of field work, and I don't know if you know Mike Horn.
No, I don't know.
He's the ichthyologist. Well, he's emeritus now, but he was my ichthyology instructor. Kicked my ass. He made us disarticulate the skull of a fish and then learn all the different bones of the skull of the fish. And then on the practicum, we had to reach our hand into a paper bag and feel the bone, name the bone, and say which side of the skull it came from.
Wow. I'm glad I'm not in that class. Yeah, that would be hard.
But we had a really strong marine biology emphasis in the courses. So we had, a lot of field work in invertebrate zoo, ichthyology, and then also phycology, which is what I ended up studying. And I did my master's in phycology. But Trevor, I'm a big advocate for going to a Cal State. A lot of students are all like, oh, I want to go to the UC. The UC is a better place to be. I'm like, not for an undergrad. You get more hands-on experience. You have more research opportunities, I think, at the Cal State than you do. It's harder to get, that kind of experience at a UC.
Yeah. And, I have some slides, Trevor, but I'm happy to, just answer any questions you have one-on-one, since it's a smaller group. We don't have to, I'm not sure anybody wants to sit through another slideshow at this point in the semester.
I wouldn't mind it, honestly. And I am recording this. So if you don't mind, I would be happy to post this in the recording in my class, if you're okay with it.
Sure. Let me see if I can share my.
Oh yeah, I think you should be able to. Yeah, there. Oh, I love the picture.
Yeah. I guess I can just, Trevor, unless you have any questions, I think I can just go into this presentation. You could type them into the chat too.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, my name is Andrew Kinziger. I'm the chair of the Fisheries Biology Department at Humboldt State. And my contact information is there. So here's my email and my phone number. So if you need to get in contact with me, feel free to send me an email. It's probably the best thing. That, phones, since we're not in my office that much these days, then that might not be the best way to get a hold of me. So the email would be the best. So I have a video to share with you that one of our majors made. So we actually had a student that majored in film and fisheries. And so this is
cool.
a video from a student perspective, which I think is kind of neat. Let's see here. Hopefully it plays. Oh, it's not playing.
You might have to share it from a different, I don't know. Sometimes I have to share it separately, the link to the video.
Yeah. Hold on a second here.
So Chad is done and he's off.
Chad has finished his degree a couple of years ago, maybe two summers ago. Yeah. So, I mean, he got his undergrad degree at Humboldt and then his master's as well. So
that's what I did at Fullerton.
Yeah, I mean, he was such a good undergrad that kept him on, to do his master's. So, most of our master's students, I don't know if people know this, but they're paid positions. And usually their tuition gets covered to some extent as well. So it's they're pretty competitive positions, but I think that I'm getting there.
I did the same thing. I did undergrad at Cal State Fullerton and started volunteering in a lab. And then my major professor talked me into staying for the master's. And like he said, Trevor, I didn't have to pay tuition. I in fact made a salary enough to pay my rent. So
yeah, that's one of the nice things about I don't know that people always know that, but when you go on to master's in a science program, that's usually what happens. Let's see here. Oh. Is that working?
yes.
fisheries biology program is great because it utilizes what you would learn in general zoology and biology courses that you normally would take, but then implements aspects of conservation and management, which is relevant today in terms of where our planet is going, with fisheries collapsing and species going endangered or becoming extinct. There's considerably more emphasis on the commercial and recreational and social benefits of fisheries and how they affect us anthropogenically. There's such a wide variety from freshwater to marine that HSU gets to cover, and it's a really fantastic educational experience. Besides having diverse local habitats, Humboldt State is also special because it is the only CSU that offers an undergraduate degree in fisheries biology. Realizing that I could put my passion with fishing into a degree made me want to go to Humboldt State even more.
It's awesome here in terms of the relationships you can build with your professors, especially in our department. It's a pretty small classroom size, so it's really easy to approach your professors and develop those relationships.
You know, you see your professors in the hallway and they know your name, they know how you're doing, they know what your strengths are, they know where you can use improvement.
The faculty in the fisheries department are the best thing about the fisheries department, besides the Coral Sea. Love the Coral Sea.
Which is our university's research vessel, and amazingly is available for undergrads to use for research.
You know, there's opportunities that I've had that I never thought I would get in a million years. You know, being able to go do beach stains or go out on the Coral Sea is awesome.
The facilities here, from the marine lab to that hatchery to just the wildlife building, are unbelievable. And that's the greatest part of our university. You get to experience so many different things in an area that most people don't even know about.
When you graduate, your employer isn't interested in just how much fish biology you know, but like if you're actually able to do the work. So I think HSC does a pretty good job in preparing you for this.
The more people who can be involved and care about the sustainability of fish or their habitat or anything like that in like the future, I guess, is going to be good.
The fisheries program is so amazing. You can come to this rather small university and small program and get a world of knowledge.
Well, it's a great little video to capture your program.
Yeah, I think it's kind of
In
neat
the
that.
wildlife program,
Uh-oh,
we
there's
pride
another one
ourselves
happening.
in training we teach them how to.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right, let's see if I can go back to my slides here. All right. So, yeah, so these are the things that kind of stand out about the program. You know, I think we have really good faculty. We all get along and we all have our own specialty. The setting in Northern California, you know, given that we're right on the coast, is kind of ideal for teaching fisheries. You know, we have the lagoons, we have the ocean, we have the bay, we have rivers. And we actually have pretty nice facilities for teaching fisheries biology. We have the on-campus hatchery, the marine lab, and then you know, the building has a lot of dedicated lab spaces for. We have a big fish collection. We have a disease lab, age and growth lab for fish, genetics lab. So we have pretty nice facilities. Real field oriented, like you were saying, Beth. Try to get students out doing stuff. And since fisheries is a natural resources based area, and fish is one of the few things that we harvest from the wild that you can buy at a store. And so there's pretty good job prospects in fisheries. And our program, you know, is prepare students for grad school if that's where they want to go. So here's our mission: and provide our majors with the knowledge, skills, and motivation required to ensure the conservation of fish and aquatic resources that are faced with increasing societal demands and increasing loss or degradation of habitats. Looks like that last part's cut off there. If you're looking at our degree program, we've got our lower division set of courses. And so this is the, you know, the courses that you could complete at Palomar. So like a 2-semester sequence in biology. And I don't know what the numbers are, but it's probably like majors biology is probably like a 1A and then a 2A or something like that.
We call it 200 and 201.
Right.
That's our series for the majors.
So 200, 201. So that would take care of the biology and zoology. And then oftentimes we look for a natural resources class. So if you teach that marine biology course that you teach, Beth, probably could fulfill that area. And then we look for introductory statistics course. And then chemistry. We used to require a 2-semester sequence in chemistry, 1 inorganic and then 1 organic chemistry. We just changed that. So now we have 1 chemistry course and then 1 physical science course.
For the whole bachelor's?
Yeah, so one chemistry and then 1 physical science. And then the physical science could be geology, oceanography, are examples of pretty, or you can take organic chemistry. There's it's a big list that you can pick from.
Trevor, you don't know this, but that's huge.
What's that?
I had to have 2 semesters of physics, 2 semesters of inorganic chemistry, and 2 semesters of organic chemistry. So 3 years, 6 courses. And that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's changing a lot, you know, in higher ed. We also, one area that's not listed in here that I should mention is mathematics. We now just require advanced algebra and trig. And we used to require calculus, but we've changed that. Now we no longer require calculus. It's just trig and advanced algebra. And there's, you know, a lot of research into that utility of calculus for people. So that's a big change. And I had the 6 semesters, like you said. I had 2 semesters of inorganic, 2 semesters of organic, and 2 semesters of physics.
And calculus.
Yeah, and calculus. Yeah, a lot different.
Yeah, that's great because it's such a. I mean, at least my impression is that they were reader classes for med school. Is what I heard. Why they had all these ridiculously difficult courses that, yes, there's chemistry and biology, but 2 years worth of chemistry, and then they added biochem.
Wow.
You know, a lot of people added biochem. It's just a lot if you're not necessarily going down a particular path. I'm happy to see that you guys made these changes.
Yeah. And I think it makes the programs more accessible and speeds progress to degree for a lot of students. Yeah, but anyway, a lot of these would be courses that you could finish out, and when you transfer to have Humboldt, have all that done. And then for the fisheries major, you know, the focal courses in the upper division are ichthyology, which you were talking about early, the fish diversity class, classes in fish ecology, marine and freshwater, fish genetics, which I teach, fish genetics, and then fish management. So that's like the core that all of the fisheries majors have to take. And then we have 3 different concentrations or options. There's a freshwater concentration, a marine concentration, and an aquaculture concentration. And so in the freshwater, you take limnology, aquaculture, ecology of freshwater fish, and ecology of running waters. In the marine option, you take U.S. and world fisheries, mariculture, ecology of marine fish, and then invertebrate zoo. And then aquaculture, you take aquaculture, mariculture, fish physiology, and then invertebrate zoology are the core. So the aquaculture is new. That's a big point of emphasis in the North Coast region. I don't know if you heard, but Humboldt is being looked at as being converted to a polytechnic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so in the latest governor's, in the May budget revise for the governor, they appropriated like $450 million to convert Humboldt State to a polytechnic. And so this last year, we've been going through a self-study, and it looks like it'll probably happen where we'll be, Humboldt Poly Humboldt or Cal Poly Humboldt or something like that in the next 3 to 5 years.
And does that change? It doesn't change the degrees you can award, right?
No, but it will presumably, increase the emphasis on STEM. And,
Oh, okay.
and sort of applied, sciences in particular. So places like aquaculture, I suspect might grow a little bit. And
Yeah, I bet it's a
engineering.
huge
Yeah.
field now.
Yeah, yeah. And in our area, they're talking about building, this Norwegian firm is talking about building this huge land-based aquaculture facility here that would supply the whole West Coast with the Atlantic salmon is what they're proposing. It's kind of interesting. It's big news for our small town.
Yeah, that's got to be problematic from an escaped fish kind of point of view.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Has all sorts of concerns with it. Yeah, from the effluent and water and all this stuff, but we also need industry here in rural parts of Northern California. So facilities and resources. So we have a wildlife and fisheries building. So wildlife is a separate program from fisheries. So wildlife's a different major from fisheries, but we share the same building. So that's our building. In terms of fisheries, we have separate labs for all these different stuff. We have a cool fish collection. We have the largest fish collection out of any CSU, and about the third largest collection in California.
Wow.
The California Academy is bigger than us, and then the LACM is also bigger than us. But other than that, we have the biggest collection. We have about 50,000 specimens in our collection.
Wow.
And then we have what's called a cooperative fishery research unit on campus, which is a neat program where they staff a few PhD scientists on campus that do research and teach. We have the on-campus hatchery where we raise steelhead, coastal cutthroat trout, and white sturgeon.
Wow.
So it's right next door to our main instructional facility. So, we can kind of set things up in the classroom and then go out there and do, for the aquaculture classes, it works well, but we use it for, sampling theory, marking and tagging, different experiments that we can run in classes.
Do you release any of the fish?
We sell fish to people with private ponds, and they can stock them. There's the coral sea that you saw in the video, 90-foot ocean-going vessel, used for teaching, but also gets contracted on different projects and stuff like that. And then our marine lab in Trinidad. So I guess it's where that little arrow is there, but there's lecture rooms, some faculty have their offices. There's a whole bunch of aquaria in there. It was renovated about 10 years ago, so it has a lot of nice space for students to set up small projects and stuff. So it's a cool spot.
How far is it from main campus?
It's about 10 miles north of main campus.
Oh, okay, so it's real accessible.
Yeah, yep. It's not too far away. There's buses that run. So we teach, a lot of our marine classes are taught out of there. And then some of those seining pictures that you saw, are down in right next. This is Trinidad Head, just down in the, because this is protected side. So down in this area here. Yeah, so in addition to the Coral Sea, we have the pontoon boat that you saw in some of the imagery, some little avons and rafts and other boats that we use for our classes and research. All right, so here's your fish quiz.
Wow.
Which species of fish is that? Trevor, do you know?
Trevor, you can make your best guess in the chat. I mean, is the color of the fish a hint?
A little bit. It's like one of the species that gets green like that. They have at Monterey Bay Aquarium. I know that they have the species in there. It's lingcod. How about that one?
Is it a rockfish?
It's close. It's a cabezon.
Oh,
Yep,
that's a kind of rockfish though, right?
Sculpin. It's a type of sculpin.
Oh.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing Dr.
This
Horn.
one
Wait,
you'll
I
know.
know this one. Trevor, do you know what kind of fish this is? He's gonna stay silent. Come on, Trevor, get.
I saw it when I was doing the marine bio lab for that aquarium where you had us look at it for 10 minutes. I just don't know what it was called.
It's a ocean sunfish, and it's in the genus Mola, and it's species Mola. So I don't know why anybody bothers calling it a sunfish, because calling it Mola Mola is more fun anyhow. It is Mola Mola, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Because there are other species of Mola.
There are a couple different species of mola, but this is the one that we get like off California.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you call it Mola Mola if that was your
Yeah.
option?
It's just so much. It's just easy, right, to call it a
Right.
mola mola. Yeah,
That's all. That's the biggest bony fish in the whole ocean.
that's true. Yeah.
Is that a tiger shark? No, not a tiger shark. I know it's a shark.
It's a leopard shark.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the ones we can snorkel with in La Jolla.
Yeah, they come into Humboldt Bay and come into shallow areas in the summer.
Oh, that's what they do in La Jolla.
Yeah.
Was that the end of our quiz?
Yeah. Just, there's some areas that students sort of pair with the fisheries major. Scientific diving, especially for students interested in the marine area, might pair scientific diving minor with a fisheries major. And we, have elective units that you have to take for the fisheries major. There's 9, but you can count like the scientific diving course towards your fisheries major. So there are ways to, build these things together so that they don't increase the number of courses you have to take. This wouldn't apply to JC transfers, but we have what's called the Klamath Connection program. It's a first-year program and it builds a sense of community amongst the first-year students. So they're all in the same dorms. They're all in the same set of classes. They do a summer immersion. And then all of their classes have a common thread, which is the Klamath River. And so it focuses on like the environmental issues surrounding the Klamath River, the social justice issues, the fisheries issues surrounding that area. This doesn't necessarily apply to JC transfer
Although in a related comment, my understanding was Humboldt was trying to kind of cluster the transfer students a bit so that they had a sense of community amongst themselves.
Yeah, I think that's, the next phase is to work on like a JC transfer learning communities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is supposed to be a video of it, but I don't sure it's going to work. And since it's not completely relevant to Trevor, I think we'll just move past it. In terms of faculty in fisheries, there's me, of course, and my, expertise is in genetics. So applying genetic tools for conservation and management of fish. The most exciting thing that I've done recently is actually just had a paper published in Science,
Wow.
which is kind of a miracle. But the focus of it was finding the genetic underpinnings of run timing in salmon. So there are different types of salmon, spring run and fall run salmon in the Klamath River, and we found the genetic markers that explain that. So that was pretty exciting, and it has some pretty important conservation implications for those fish.
Trevor, that's like being in the Olympics if you're a scientist, to get your paper published in the journal Science.
Yeah, it's kind of nerdy, but yeah, it's kind of exciting for
that's
us.
great. Congratulations.
Yeah. But yeah, and I had some really strong collaborators. It wasn't just me. We have Eric Bjorkstead. He's a fisheries oceanographer. So he's part of our program. He's a joint appointment between HSU and NOAA Fisheries, and his group runs all the what they call the PACUS and CENCUS cruises, where they do the ocean monitoring offshore, and then he teaches classes for us and has graduate students. Darren Ward is our salmon expert. And so he does a lot of work on the Klamath River, where they're pulling out these really huge dams. One of the largest dam removal projects in history, is at least that's what they're touting it. And so he does a lot of research on dam removal and recolonization of fish when they pull out the dams. Rafael Cuevas Uribe is an aquaculture expert, and so he does things. He's really into multi-trophic aquaculture, like growing seaweeds and fish and other organisms simultaneously. They're doing seaweed culture. Was it brown seaweed culture, I think, in Humboldt Bay, like to evaluate whether or not that can be commercially viable. Would that be the right one? Brown?
I mean,
Can't
yes.
remember.
I mean, a lot of people are cultivating reds. Like there's a group down at San Diego State that's working on some reds. But I mean, kelp definitely has a market.
Yeah, they seed these lines with it and they pull it up, and yeah. Andre Buheister is the mathematician, fisheries statistician in our program. Jose Marin Jaron is the most recently added faculty member. He comes to us from Ecuador, and his most recent appointment was in the Galapagos. And he's a marine fisheries expert, and he is incredible. He's trying to set up an exchange program between Humboldt and the Galapagos, using his connections there with the Darwin Research Station. Anyway, he's just been amazing professor to have. And then we have another salmon expert by the name of Mark Henderson. Anyway, all these faculty are amazing. We have a really good group of people that get along well together, and we pair students with whatever area they're most interested in, right? They'll get a mentor. One of these people would be their mentor, and they meet with them every semester. And
your undergraduates have to meet with their mentor.
Yep. Yeah.
That's great. I had the same, and I am so grateful I had that when I went to Cal State.
Yeah. For classes is the, one of the main things, but then just to connect you with internships or summer experiences, things like that, research experiences, whatever they're interested in.
That's fantastic.
So another thing is that we're lucky enough to have, alumni that give fisheries specific scholarships. So there's a variety of different scholarships that are kind of marked specifically for our majors. So, we usually give out about $20,000 in fisheries specific scholarships. When you think about different careers, these are just different titles of jobs that people might get into with a degree in fisheries, from, fisheries biologist and fisheries statistician, all the way to a general biologist or environmental specialist, a game warden, fish culturist, aquatic biologist, lots of different possibilities for careers. Here's some students. This is Michelle Jones. She got her master's from Humboldt and then a PhD from Simon Fraser, and is now a natural resources specialist with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. This is Keith Parker. He's one of my master's students. So he got his bachelor's degree and his master's at Humboldt State. He's a member of the Yurok tribe. And, his goal was always to go back to the Yurok tribe. And so he's now a fisheries biologist with the Yurok tribe. So it was really neat working with him. Two other students, Tyler McCraney, got both his bachelor's and master's at Humboldt, and then worked for NOAA in Alaska, and is now working on his PhD at UCLA. Matt Peterson works for a consulting firm out of Chico called Fish Bio, and he got his master's and bachelor's at Humboldt. And I think this is the last slide. This just has my contact information and contact information for another faculty member if want to get in touch with us. And I think that, yeah, that's the last slide there. So, yeah, do you have any other questions for me, Trevor or Beth?
I'm gonna see if Trevor, did it trigger any questions for you?
I don't know about any questions, but it was interesting to learn about the fisheries program at Humboldt, because I had no idea there was even one there.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry that more students, Trevor, thank you for saying that. I'm sorry more students didn't come, but I'm definitely going to post this video. I have students introduce themselves at the beginning of the semester, and several of them mentioned wanting to be game wardens. So I'll highlight the video with that in mind. I think this is really hopefully just the first of many opportunities we have to talk to you.
Yeah, no, this is great. We made this connection, and, maybe we can just, check in once a year. Or
yeah, I would love that.
Relevant.
Especially now kind of getting to meet you, they talk about that soft handoff. And when I do have students that express an interest, and I know I have sent countless students to Humboldt. I can think of several off the top of my head right now. One who's still up there because anyhow, I don't want to get into details. We do a field course out to Catalina Island, and I get to know students pretty well. And for whatever reason, there's a huge subset of my students that go to Catalina Island that end up at Humboldt. It's just a funny, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it just, Humboldt really suits the same kinds of students that are interested in our Catalina course. And so they are, And I always try to put them in connection with each other when they go, because I'll say, oh, I already know a couple of students that are already up at Humboldt, but now I also know you, informally, but I can do this soft handoff. Like I know somebody there that you can ask questions, and that's often huge for students. So I appreciate that you took the time out of your day to do this today.
No, I'm happy to. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's when students come up here, they'll realize it's pretty different than Orange County, right?
Right.
We can be, lots of different places within 20 minutes of campus.
Right. I was lucky I got to do a couple of semesters up at Friday Harbor. So
Awesome.
it made up for the fact that I had to go to school in Orange County. But we did have a research vessel. We shared it with Cal State Long Beach, but I was lucky to get out on the boat. But yeah, you're right, to have it in your backyard, that Friday Harbor experience of just being right there and surrounded by people that are interested in the same thing was magical, really.
Yeah, that's one of the neat things about the fisheries program is that, we have a pretty high concentration of people that just kind of love fish, right? So all in one spot. So that makes it kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. There's a synergy to it for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor, do you have any other questions?
No questions that I can think of right now.
Okay. Well, we have your contact information. So how do you pronounce your last name?
Kinziger.
Kinziger.
Yeah.
I will definitely reach out to you if I get any other questions.
Yeah. And, feel free to have anybody who's interested that can contact me, and happy to meet with them.
Okay. Well, thank you again.
Yeah. No
have a great
problem.
afternoon.
All right. You too. See ya. Thanks.
Bye. Bye, Trevor.
Bye.